addition will be the Schmuckler addition, which is the addresses on Island, as I remember it.
Yep.
4715 Island Avenue. Who is here representing the applicant?
John Field. I am the architect.
Right.
And I'm,
Field,
sorry.
Do you want me to let you share the screen? Are you, John?
We can do that, yes. Are you ready for me?
Yes, let
I'll
me
be
do
ready in
that.
1 minute, I'm sorry. Just take me 1 minute to get ready here.
These two are for Hebrew Home?
They're different. Oh,
Yeah, they're two different ones. And then you have the this is the Island Avenue they're going over now.
Right, which is the one where they said they're not gonna hurt the trees.
I
Thanks.
believe so.
Yeah, that extra
Yeah.
letter, that was on this
Correct.
And
one.
he had the older letter,
Yeah.
correct. Yep,
So,
you read it.
let me
So-
know when you're ready.
I'm trying to get my computer to cooperate here with the sharing. Sorry, 1 second.
Which thing are you gonna share first?
Well, I was gonna share the plans because that made the most
Okay.
sense. Just to talk through the project again, I have a letter from Olmsted that I
Have you
submitted.
been reported out yet?
Yes, they have, CCP?
Yeah.
Yes, you've been referred, hang on. I know I sent this all to Farah, I apologize.
Yeah, if it's one of the ones you sent me, is it the CNE 24?
I've got- yeah,
08101? I can just share it if you want.
Okay, no, I've got it all right here now, so,
Okay.
yes, and we have a certificate of no effect. And then, let's see if I can open up the plans real quickly. Okay. So, I will share. Uh-oh. Bear with me.
key.
Okay, yeah.
Like being prepared, yeah, the camera's useful. Amazing.
You know, I think we'll go on to another matter
We
and
don't
come back
have
to
to,
you.
I'm sharing right
That's
now,
okay.
Commissioner.
That's what we're gonna do.
Okay. Can you just sign in and I'll give you some?
I'm sharing here. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so this is 4715 Iceland. We presented last month. And we're doing a small kitchen addition at the rear of the house. Because we are working under a large oak tree in the back, you can see it here. We are building a kitchen addition out here. We're subject to city planning. This addition is in the air. It's actually on a cantilevered. I'm gonna go right here, off the house, so it's not touching the ground. It is being built under this tree circle, not touching the tree. In the rear yard of the building. At the last meeting, you had asked that I provide a letter from a tree expert. Olmsted has provided a letter here to the community board. They're a client of his anyway. And he states that we will not be hurting or harming the tree. Have no detrimental effects to the tree. Additionally, we have a certificate of no effect from LPC, which I'm trying to also pull up, but that piece of the screen is blocked. Now you should be able to see my screen with the certificate of no effect. So Landmarks has issued that for this project. Our clients, JJ and Samantha, can't make it tonight. He's traveling. She's putting her children to bed. They have made numerous efforts to talk directly with the neighbors, the direct neighbors that you had asked us to communicate with. That's to the north as well as to the west. And they've given them all of the information, so they know about the hearing. And the neighbor to the west, I believe, was going to write to the community board by email, but I don't know if that happened.
Did you send them a letter, something in writing about it?
Absolutely.
The neighbors?
The neighbors received notification. They received hand delivery under their door. They received numerous knocks on their door, and a couple of traded phone messages. And I can answer any questions if I can get back to my plans.
One, two, three, four, five, six. We need one more. Jessica and Omar.
Jessica, Omar, Lee,
Lee
won't
can't
be
be
here.
here.
Nick?
Rubio, Nick, Marty.
Nick is not gonna make it. Marty's gonna, is on Zoom, and Sylvia's on Zoom. They don't count.
It's only Jessica.
Jessica and, Omar.
Can we move on?
Um,
Mr. Field?
Yes, sir.
I have no questions. I mean,
He's just awaiting questions.
Are you awaiting questions? Is that what you're doing?
I am awaiting
Okay.
questions.
This is largely what we discussed last month.
You said someone had maybe written a letter to the community board, is that true?
Hmm?
I don't,
You said that a neighbor had said they were going to write a letter to us.
About,
Doesn't mean they
said-
did.
it doesn't mean they did. They know about the meeting. It was what they had promised my client they would do.
And didn't we get wasn't there in the pack a statement that the FPOA, Filson Property Owners Association, had a comment of no concern or words to that effect?
Is that correct?
That is correct.
yes, it is correct. And it was sent to the committee.
Okay.
What do you plan on doing underneath the elevated deck?
It's presently a paved patio. I can go to the first page and try and show you a picture of that. So right now,
And the
you'll see,
cantilevered kitchen also.
yeah, you'll see there's presently a cantilever portion with the door. And they've got some stuff stored there right
Just
now,
match
where the
this over
basketball
here.
hoop is.
For that one
So-
section.
This piece is basically being extended to align with the house. So it will just continue to be covered area with their play toys and their tricycles.
Field, I have a question for you, which is not go to planning, but go to practicality. What do you do in the winter when the rain comes down the siding and is right in front of the front door? with potential icicles?
When-
Other than
when the
pray,
rain-
what do you do?
Oh, over here on the right side, well, there, we do have a gutter, we do have a gutter at the top of the roof, which does catch the water and take it away from the building. We hope, I guess, that we don't have too many icicles anymore with our,
So
with
my
our
question to you
absence
is,
of winter. But this is basically a covered rear entrance to the building. It's not a front door.
my question to you, sir, and please do not feel obligated to agree with me. Please do not. Would it make sense for you to put a form of gutter above that breezeway area to catch whatever remains and what looks to me to be to the left of it, a small piece as well?
So I think what you're saying, there's a porch here to the right. I think what you're saying is put another gutter here. Typically, when we have
Do
a
not
side,
have to agree with me, please.
I
I just want to
did-
call it to your attention
I-
as
and I-
a potential thought for catching any problems there. I had them, that's why I know.
I appreciate that. It's something that's a difficult thing to manage up in the air. We generally put gutters at roofs to carry and carry the water away from a building that way. The water that's on a sidewall, we actually allow to drip down to the ground or run down to grade. In this case, yes, it could create icicles.
Yeah, let me tell you what happens in the real world. Leaves get in the gutter.
There's a slight overhang.
Block the gutter. I'm just trying to suggest this to you because I have had my ox gored, and I leave it up to you. At this point, you have the comment for what it's worth.
I
Does
appreciate the
anybody,
comment.
does anybody, may I interrupt you? Does anybody on the committee have any questions? Going once, going twice. Now, we do not have a binding vote here, so an issue will then go to the full board. But they would want an advisory vote of those who are here. All those in favor of approving the application? 3, 4, 5, 6. It is 6, which is unanimous for those in attendance. Thank you, Mr. Field.
Thank you, sir. And thank you, commissioners.
Okay, now, which is this?
Good enough.
Let's now take a look at 5602, 5604, proposed rezoning. Folks from Hebrew Home, I'm going to just take this one ahead of you, but I don't have a quorum here, so as to act on your application, which, as I understand, has another question. You still have not been referred out, but you've been told you'll be referred out in 2 days, i.e. before the board meeting, correct? Is that correct, Mr. Powell?
We have been hoping for a referral in early June. It's not confirmed whether or not that will happen yet, but we would still appreciate being heard tonight. So,
Where we go. Let me do 5602, 5604 Broadway. Is the applicant present?
Hi, yes, Laura Martins from Ackerman Land Use Council. I'm joined by members of my team as well, the property owners.
You're Ackerman?
Hi.
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
And other members of my team are here as well. Sorry, it's hard for me to see who's on the screen, but I will present a presentation just by way of background. This is a courtesy briefing. We are not yet in the ULURP public review process. The project has not been certified. We met with this committee almost exactly a year ago to brief you on introduce you to the project. We just wanted to come back now as we're hoping to be certified at some point this summer. So we'll be back before the board in the fall. but we wanted to just come back, do a quick presentation, and just refresh the board's memory on the project and get any feedback that you can offer us. The project has not changed significantly, but we will try to expeditiously go through the presentation, and happy to revisit any portions of it if anyone has any questions. I'm going to share my screen now. Sorry.
Speak up, please.
Sorry, I'm going to
Speak
share.
up, please.
Can you hear me?
No, that's what I mean, not clearly.
Well, sorry, I was trying to speak louder. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay.
Better.
I'll try to keep the volume up. So I'm going to share my screen. Just bear with me for one moment.
Let me ask you a threshold question.
Sure.
Do you have any government financing of any kind with respect to this proposed project?
Probably.
The intention is to apply for public financing for this project. We don't have a commitment on that yet. Typically, projects.
Who have you applied to?
It would be from HPD and HDC.
Did you apply to HDC?
Well, Ron Schulman from our team can speak to any financing questions, but we have not formally applied for financing yet on this
Did she
project.
say yes? Not yet.
Yeah, so Nora, I can take that.
Yeah, please go.
Yes.
HDC. Yes.
Okay.
Ms. Martin, please, are you planning to apply to the Housing Development Corporation?
Yes. I'll take the question. It's Ron Schulman, Best Development Group. Good evening. We are going to apply to HDC and HPD for financing for this project, correct?
I will recuse myself under those circumstances. I am a member of HDC. So, Bob, will you do the honors?
Interim chair.
Sure. So you, Ms. Martin, you were about to do the presentation?
Yes. Should I-
Okay.
Can I
Go
get
ahead.
started? Okay, so this project is a rezoning in the Kingsbridge neighborhood. The development site is located at 5602, 5604 Broadway, just north of the 231st Street 1 train station. The site has frontage on flag lot with frontage on Broadway and backs onto the proposed greenway and then the major Deegan to the rear. The project proposes, in order to facilitate redevelopment of the site, we're proposing a zoning change from an M11, the existing zoning, since 1961 to an R73 zoning district with a C23 commercial overlay, and a text amendment to establish a mandatory inclusionary housing designated area, which would facilitate a 100% affordable housing development at the site. The proposed building would be 13 stories, set back from Broadway, with 226, again, 100% affordable apartments, ranging in size from some studios to up to 3 bedrooms. Actually, really exciting part of the project is that we have 50% 2 and 3 bedrooms, which is not typical and is far above the HPD minimum. The project also proposes a 188 space parking garage. Just some images showing the location of the site to orient you. As you can see, it's a flag lot here with a small amount of frontage on Broadway. And then the majority of the site, which would be the location of the building, closer to the major Deegan. Some photos of the site, you can see the top left-hand corner, you have the entrance to the existing parking garage. The site is currently, well, the development site is two lots. This lot, which has a parking garage in it, public parking garage, currently has 185 spaces. And then the building adjacent, which would also be part of the development site as well. Proposed actions that I just went through, which would be the zoning text amendment, zoning map amendment, and the zoning text amendment. this map just illustrating the area of the proposed zoning change from an M1.
Can I ask a question? On the zoning text amendment, has that been submitted to the city council?
We're still in the pre-certification process at city planning. The city council is aware of it. We've met with Councilman Denowitz's office a few times on this. We're setting up an additional briefing after this meeting. But no, it has not yet been reviewed during the public review process. We're hoping to be certified this summer, which is why we're coming back to the board now.
I have a question, which is
Sure.
one that I just went through at HDC today. You are applying for a zoning text amendment and a map change. The question I have is the chicken and the egg question, which is, should you have that in hand before you come to the community board or after? The reason you could advance for saying I want it before is so that it will guide city planning as to the feasibility and wisdom from a community standpoint. In that event, let me ask you this and my colleagues. There are instances where HDC issues a declaration of intent, which is not a binding action, but provides a preliminary indication both to the taxing authorities and to the developer that they have a preferential position. And so, to my colleagues, I would think you might want to think of that unless council has a view as to why that is either not sufficient or not appropriate.
I'm not, just to make sure I'm following the question.
Nora, I can take it. I
Yeah.
can take it.
Thank
Okay.
you.
So, Mr. Chairperson, we have submitted the financial projections and the plans to HDC and HPD. We've received comments back from HPD. I don't have any comments back from the HDC staff yet. We can apply for a declaration of official intent, to qualify costs on the project, but we're underwriting the project to the HPD and HDC term sheets. So we feel comfortable that this will be, well-accepted project. They have not voiced any opposition so far.
Let me explain to you and to my colleagues what I'm driving at. Today, you don't know a number of vital things. One, is the City Planning Commission inclined or not inclined to giving him the zoning change, absent which he can't do a damn thing along these lines? Number two, you do not know whether or not HPD or any other entity will give him the requisite financing to do that. So as to enable him to do that, and what is done by HDC under comparable circumstances, they issue a declaration of intent, which indicates that they are favorably disposed to the application, all right? And so what I'm suggesting is, would that satisfy your present need? Not your desire, your need.
As to the first point of your statement about the City Planning Commission, we're going through this rezoning process to hopefully get the City Planning Commission's approval. Staff at the Bronx office of City Planning has been very supportive of this application. It's consistent with the city's housing policies and goals. And we believe there's a strong land use rationale for the proposed rezoning.
Ms. Martins, if I may, so what exactly is the rationale for coming before the community board now, as opposed to later, after you have gone farther through the process, as the committee chair just outlined?
This is a courtesy. We typically like to present to the board because once the project is certified and in ULURP, the community board only has 60 days to review and issue their recommendation. So we typically like to introduce the project to the community board, keep them updated so that you're not in a time crunch just learning about a new project and being forced to make a decision in a short period of time. So this is just a courtesy.
Okay, understood. So you have finished your presentation, is that correct?
No,
Or is
no,
there
we
more?
still, yeah, there's
You're
still
right.
more. There's still more.
Okay, continue, please continue then.
Okay, no problem. So this image just shows the current zoning map on the left, which shows the M11 zoning district the site's currently in. And then the proposed R7, the boundaries of the proposed R73 district, which would capture the development site as well as some other 5 additional lots that front on Broadway. So the project, as I mentioned, would be a 13-story residential building, 6 FAR, which is the maximum permitted under the R73 with mandatory inclusionary housing. Would include 82,000 square feet of amenity and recreation space, 226 income restricted apartments, again, all subject to the availability of HPD financing, but as Ron said, we're confident that this project would qualify. And even if for some reason it was not publicly financed, it is still subject to the mandatory inclusionary housing requirement, which would require between 25 and 30% of the building, the residential building, be permanently affordable, whether you have public financing or not. But currently the proposal has always been to be 100% affordable per an HPD program. The unit breakdown right now, as I mentioned, is 50% studios and 1 bedrooms and 50% 2 bedrooms and 3 bedrooms and 1 supers unit. There'll be a 188 space parking garage. This is, 2 reasons. There is a need in the neighborhood, and this parking garage has been at this location and well utilized for since I think 1985. So we didn't want to take away those parking spaces from the neighborhood, and we're able to fit it into the project. Would include electric vehicle charging stations and also 113 bicycle parking spaces. And of course, as I mentioned, very good access to mass transit with the 231st Street station just south of the project site. Also good service by bus lines and the Marlboro Hill Metro North Station, a little over a half mile away. This is a site plan showing the proposed development. The 13-story building would be pushed back from Broadway. The frontage here would really just be a 1-story entrance to the building, with the bulk of the building pushed back from Broadway. And you can see here, and I know this board is familiar with the greenway that's proposed and being, actively designed by the city at this time. This is just a little more detail on the greenway site plan that's publicly available. We've met with DEP and confirmed that our project would not conflict with any of those plans. And, that will of course cooperate during construction. Some renderings of the building showing various frontages. These top 2 are from Broadway. You can see the elevated rail. And then the bottom 2 are from the rear, from the Greenway and the Major Deegan, showing the building. There's the Greenway between the Major Deegan and also a 30-foot rear yard. And then finally, some renderings in context. I think it's always important, this area, this portion of Kingsbridge has a mixed building typology. You have some smaller 1- to 2-story buildings within the M1 district. Across Broadway, along Naples Terrace, you have 5- and 6-story pre-war multifamily buildings, which actually are at a very high elevation, so present more like 8- or 9-story buildings across Broadway. Some additional views here of the proposed building in context.
Okay, yeah, let's finish.
Can I interrupt Bob
Yeah, of
and
course.
ask a couple of questions?
Sure.
Go ahead, Charles.
What's the proposed AMI for the apartments?
She listed them.
Yeah, I'll skip to that. Actually, perfect time.
So I'll take that, Nora. Mr. Chairperson, the proposed AMIs, this is a representational view right now, just to show an underwriting, if we were underwriting today, basically a mix of sizes and rents and incomes in the building proportionally to meet HPD's guidelines, HDC's guidelines. So households from around 36,000 up to 117. These incomes have actually gone up a little bit in the last year. We have to update this chart, but there's basically a size of an apartment and price range for many different people to move into the building. We have to keep the rents about 10% below the market for underwriting purposes for the bank, HDC, and also our tax credit investor. So we're always mindful of that. We'll be doing a very thorough market analysis and appraisal before this gets financed to make sure that we're, not overselling what the rents can be. I want to note one thing. We do have 101 two-bedroom apartments. All those apartments have 2 full bathrooms. So these are all 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartments. All the 3 bedrooms, of course, have 2 baths as well. And the 1-bedroom apartments are very nicely sized in different configurations, but very, very nice sized apartments. We've maximized the number of large apartments in the building. As you can see, it's an irregular shape with that flag shape of the building, but we've done our best to maximize the number of family apartments, which Councilmember Dinowitz wants. And when we presented last year, your committee wanted family apartments, and this is the maximum amount we can achieve at this moment.
Let me make my point as to why I asked you the question. It underscores my question of earlier on as to whether a final vote is appropriate. Now, by the way, we have a quorum, as contrasted with some form of favorable declaration of intent, because you haven't got the AMI doped out as to what percentage in what category. I have a personal bias in favor of your project, but a personal bias against kidding people as to whether or not they're going to qualify to get in. So that's why I want an AMI that's realistic. The current AMI isn't, but at least it's a target. Let me ask you a second question. Is there any intrusion upon the lot line? I mean, on the Deegan?
No.
Greenway's there.
It's set back even from the.
There's the railroad greenway.
You own any of that in between? No, okay.
No, yeah, we have a 30-foot rear yard, actually, before the greenway even starts. The building does not encroach.
With respect to your greenway plan, within what proximity are the shrubbery that you have indicated? You indicate on plan number page 10 that there is freshwater wetlands, shrubbery, and the like within some area in proximity to.
This is a DEP image.
Yeah, this is just provided for information. This is DEP and New York City Parks drawing. Our project does not propose any of this work, nor does it infringe upon any of it. It will just be adjacent.
Like their building's above this picture. Yeah. This picture's they're just showing the.
What's the proximity?
Yes, and we have met with.
How close is it?
It's adjacent.
It may be a question for another agency, but I'd like to know, is it right on your back door? Is it 50 feet away? What is it?
We share a lot line. Our rear lot line, one of them, is on the greenway. However, our building is set back 30 feet from that.
Talking about the shrubbery, please. What is the proximity of the shrubbery?
I can't answer
that question.
I'm sorry. This drawing is not dimensioned, and it's not our drawing. It's just for informational purpose. That shrubbery is not on our property.
Go ahead.
Jessica, you had a question?
Yeah, I'm interested to know, is there any consideration for the fact that we have a highway and a train structurally, so the tenants aren't actually dealing with any of that ambient noise into the apartments? I noticed a lot of windows on the west side, but not on the south. I noticed most of the windows are on the west side, right, where you'd be facing the train, and not on the north and south. So just wanted to know what the evaluation there was.
Sure. I mean, one of the benefits of the way the building's designed is that it is set back quite far from the elevated train and units are higher. But yes, we will most likely have an E designation to make sure that noise levels are acceptable. Which is, typical for any project on an elevated rail, to make sure that noise levels are acceptable and also ventilation.
Thank you.
Okay, Laura?
Can I call your attention to the statute, if you haven't already done it, that within a proximity of an MTA facility, you need to go to the chief engineer, who's located over near the Target store next to the bridge, to get their approval before you can move forward. If you aren't aware of that, you should do that.
Yes, actually, there are two things to be aware of. Actually, we did approach the MTA because we're within 50 feet of a transit entrance, but they confirmed there was no need for an easement here, a transit certification easement. But yes, prior to construction, we will need to do that. Thank you.
Laura?
My question is about how will you contain your stormwater? This is a very high flood area, and we have the uniform stormwater rule now. Do you plan green roofs? Do you plan what? Because flooding in that area has been an issue.
Yes, we do have a plan for stormwater retention. Is anyone from GFB5 on that could speak to this quickly?
Yes, my name is Ivan. I'm project manager of this job. So the system that we propose to address this issue are called like green roof systems and blue roof systems, which are designed to retain the water on the terraces to reduce the water flow and prevent the overload of the sewer system. So as you can see on these diagrams, almost all the terraces which are like covering the lot area looking from above are equipped with such systems. We believe that should be sufficient to prevent, again, the sewer system to be overloaded. So the total square footage of those systems is about 20,000 square feet. So the way those systems work is that any storm water is being retained on the surfaces, and it stays there for some time, which allows the water to evaporate back into the atmosphere instead of going into the city system.
Thank you.
David?
Yes, two questions. On page 10, you mentioned the zoning map amendment, changing from M11 to R73, C23. I don't think that that was contemplated when you last spoke with us. What is the impact of that change? What does it enable you to do?
The R7, and I apologize, I didn't present to you last time, but I believe that has been the proposal for some time, I think.
Yes, I can confirm that was the proposal last summer as well as R73 zoning, which city planning advised us to use. And Nora, can you speak to the text amendment that it was adopted?
Sure, yeah. The one thing, so the R73 allows a maximum FAR of 6, as I mentioned, in a mandatory inclusionary housing area. We're proposing a 13-story building. There was recently a text amendment passed to facilitate development of a building in Brooklyn that did change the maximum height in an R73 that's permitted to 18 stories or 185 feet. That's really the only change. Here, we would have no reason to go to 18 stories. We'd basically have the most efficient footprint and most cost-effective construction, keeping the building as designed at 13 stories. We've maximized the floor area at that height.
Okay, and the other question I have is, the last design, I think had an amenity space up front, that we discussed briefly, yes.
Yeah, we have,
Now it looks like it's just going to be an entrance to the building?
no, there's an amenity space. It's a 3,800 square foot amenity space, I believe on the second floor. Do we show it here?
Floor plans, yeah.
It is on the second floor adjacent to the terrace.
And that's for the tenants?
That's right. There's on-site recreation space, which is sufficient for a gym, and all kinds of programming. It's about 3,850 square feet. There it is, right there.
There's a second floor.
Okay, I think I misspoke. I was really referring to the first floor space that might possibly be retail or originally.
No, the first floor is lobby. Can you just go to that?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry, there we go, sorry. There's the first one.
Right. So there's a residential lobby into the building, and the parking, of course, is to the side because that's the only way to get into the garage.
Okay.
Okay, David?
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Sylvia? Sylvia?
I'm not that well versed as far as land use is concerned. However, the buildings on Broadway are R6 and R4 with the commercial overlay. And this is a 7.3, which is quite a jump. It is going to transform Broadway into non-recognizable as far as this building is concerned. And I'm not against the building, but I think it's very large. And I would think that other developers will hook on to your change of the size and build up all of Broadway with similar buildings. I would think, and Chuck, correct me if I'm wrong, but I would think that there should be a study of the buildings on Broadway from 231st to 238, keep it a little uniform and not, put a large development there. Not that I'm against it or anything like that, but I think it's shocking. I do shop down there, and a lot of the stores that I participate with are going to be gone. That happens in every neighborhood I know. But is there anything that we can do with the Board of Standard and Appeals or with city planning to do a study or something that would curtail this kind of major influence into the neighborhood?
Sylvia, let me answer, if I may, that question. I applaud the fact that they are trying to build more affordable housing. New
Yes.
York City desperately needs it, and I can't think of a better place to put it.
Okay. That was just my opinion.
I think just to respond to your concern about the precedent, as we're coming before you and we'll be back before you again for your, formal recommendation, anyone else that's looking to rezone to build a larger building along Broadway will have to come back before the board and you will review each application on its own merits. We understand this will be the biggest building on the block. But we believe, you'll still preserve some of that character along Broadway because it is set back behind those buildings. It is a flag lot shape. And also it almost mirrors the condition across Broadway where you have, 1 and 2 story buildings fronting on Broadway. But then when you go up Naples Terrace, you have these elevation change and the taller multifamily buildings. So while it will definitely be a change, we don't think it's one that will, significantly affect the character of the area. And again, you will have the opportunity, if anyone else were to come before you, they would have to make the case for that before the board. So this doesn't necessarily automatically open the door to other developers.
Thank you, Ms. Martins. Karen, you've had your hand up for a little while. Karen Argenti?
Yes, I was wondering if that, funny, like, street next to the property, Naples Terrace, is that gonna still be there, or are you using that? Is that your property?
It's actually across the street.
No, the Step Street is across the street, but there's an open street there that people use.
Oh, yes. I
And
apologize. Let me
it's
pull up-
opposite of Naples Terrace. Step
Right,
Street.
right. Let me pull up the tax. map.
You had it, oh, there, I see it there, right.
Right. Well, so yeah, this is the Step Street here.
Right, and on the other side is an
Across
empty
the street.
street. You can walk right into it.
Right. I believe it's not mapped. But yes, there is a prolongation there. That's not part of our, development proposal.
Oh, because the line is down there, okay. And I was wondering if you asked the city to do some improvements, because even though you're capturing all your stormwater, and I love that idea of the green infrastructure, the green roof on the terraces, that's a terrific idea. You're still gonna have stuff to put into the sewers, which are overburdened now. Is the city gonna add any money like they do with the other MIH projects?
I can't speak to whether the city would commit, infrastructure improvements as part of this project. I have to confirm, but I think, and I don't, maybe I haven't confirmed whether we'd be subject to the new stormwater rules, the sewer rules that DEP has, although I don't know. Yeah, you're concerned about sanitary.
Oh,
right?
you are definitely gonna be under the
Right.
stormwater, the new
But you're
stormwater.
concerned about sanitary.
Yeah. Like, right now, the sewers are overcome with runoff, and so you're actually not exacerbating it, but you are putting in all those units, and they're gonna flush the toilets,
Right,
wash the clothes, that kind of stuff.
right. We can, we'll speak to the city and see if any improvements are being considered.
And would you want to adopt part of the Tibbetts Greenway to take care of it or something? I mean, you're so close to it, it's going to be in your backyard,
We'd have to see. My understanding was that the construction and maintenance of that was funded already, but
Yes, but there's always, lights, there's always things that they can't afford to do. I mean, it's in the future, it's not now, but.
right. No, I think, we were open with DEP and Parks that we, we'll work with them to make sure there's no conflict and no issue. I mean, obviously, it's a big benefit to our project.
Right.
And we want to be a neighbor.
Okay, thank you.
You have a question?
With
Maybe
the
the board-
upcoming,
Maybe the board would like to recommend that the city do something because they're doing the MIH and affordable housing, that they add some funding to do some infrastructure improvements, whatever we think we need there. Just an idea.
Thank you, Karen.
if City of Yes for housing passes, will that alter your plans or make it easier or harder to change the zoning? Do you know how that would affect this development anyway?
It doesn't affect the map.
It's in a transit zone, which is something they're encouraging anyway.
Right, it doesn't materially affect the proposed development. The R7-3 floor area stays the same under what's proposed in then the City of Yes. The only change is the, parking, accessory parking is no longer required for residential under City of Yes as currently proposed. And we know that that's all, still subject to public review and ultimately could be modified. Our intention is to provide parking here. It's historically been a parking garage. But that is one change, that some of the parking may no longer be required parking under City of Yes.
All right, last question, Mary Ellen?
Hi, thank you. There's a lot of businesses on that block. Are you gonna have storefronts in your building, being as businesses would lose their spaces, I believe, with that?
The only So I don't know if you can see my cursor. These are the two, this is the only portion of our site that fronts on Broadway. These other 5 tax lots are not part of our development site, so those businesses would not be affected other than, you know, they're included in the rezoning, but we have no plans to redevelop their properties. So one of these lots right now is just an entrance to the existing parking, and one is a commercial building that is already partially vacant.
Thank you.
Yeah, Magoo's Pub.
That answers your question, Mary Ellen?
Yes, thank you, Bob.
Let's move on.
I just want to ask one quick question. Are you getting any FAR advantage out of those other properties that you are not developing?
No, we have no agreement to
Okay,
acquire development.
thank you.
Ms. Martins, did you have anything else to add, or are you finished with your presentation?
No, that was our presentation. Appreciate the feedback and all the questions.
Okay, good.
I have just one last comment.
One last comment?
Yeah.
Okay.
In all the MIH in Manhattan, all the rezoning, picking up on what Karen said, the city or the developer did come up with some amenities for that community, all different things and different kinds, and it might be possible to get some extra, something for the community, for the infrastructure, for the greenway with further discussion. Or is that not a good idea, Chuck? I mean, I just know what happens.
Let me respond if I may.
Yeah.
This is very personal. I have a personal problem where community boards give the impression that their votes are dependent upon some, quote, benefit for surrounding neighbors or the like. I know it's not what you meant. I was about to say, there's a difference between that and the owner of the building coming forward and showing that he or she has a plan to somehow advance the interests of the community beyond the premises. That's dependent on what they want to come up with.
Right. Thank you.
All right, so,
Sorry, no,
last question?
yes, no, I guess I am concerned about parking going away. If City of Yes does pass, like, you know, if we can do something with regards to making that parking available to the public, even for a fee, you know, that's what you would do? So they are already doing that. Okay, excellent. And then I saw that there were in-unit washers. Is that for all the units, or is there an intention that, because I didn't see anything in the cellar for units that might not have in-unit washers? Is there an intent for them to go to the community, or is there a laundry room in the building?
Hey, Ivan, what did we propose in the building for laundry?
I can physically see in-unit, but I don't know if it's all the units.
We can get back to you on that.
Yeah, we'll get back to you on that.
Typically,
Sorry.
if it's not in every unit, there will be a facility within the building.
All right, say that again. If it's not in every unit, there will be a facility in the building?
Typically, yes. I mean, Ron, what are your
No,
thoughts?
we'll have a laundry on site if there's not individual units in the apartments.
Right, because I can see it, right, in the one bedroom. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, but I just wanted to confirm that, you know, there no one's.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure,
Well-
we can get back to you on that.
Yeah, we'll get back to you guys on that.
Okay, all right, well, thank you. Thank you for the presentation, for the courtesy presentation, which we appreciate. I think it would be reasonable to suggest at this point, having heard all the questions and the answers to the questions, for us to, since you've come back to us looking for a sense from the committee of where we stand, for the committee members to decide whether we are favorably disposed towards the project as it has been presented. And I will say that for myself, I am favorably disposed. So is everybody agreeable to making that decision?
Aye.
Opinion, yeah.
Is it, okay. Is anybody opposed to the idea of saying at this point that the committee is favorably disposed towards the project as it has been presented? Is anybody opposed? Does anybody want to abstain?
I have to abstain.
Okay, understood, for reasons, for cause. Okay, so then, we are unanimously saying we are favorably disposed with one abstention for cause. So thank you again for coming before us, and I'm sure we will be hearing further from you as the project moves through the process.
Yes, thank you very much for your time. We appreciate it and look
Yes.
forward to meeting with you again.
Yes, thank you so much. Have a good evening.
Good night.
Thank you.
All
Bye-bye.
right, the people, we have a quorum, the people from the Hebrew Home have waited long enough.
Redo that other vote, though,
I mean,
Can I go
first,
first?
quickly?
Please.
Okay.
are you the applicant?
No.
That's what I mean. Gotta have the applicant first. All right, Mr. Reingold, Mr. Power, who's up?
I will speak on behalf of the application. Can you hear me all right?
Yep.
Okay, and I will share my screen.
Wait, where are you? Oh, here you are. Okay.
Screen sharing, yes. So, good evening, I'm Jim Power. Can you see that? Can you see that?
Not yet.
Not yet, sorry. Okay, how is that?
Now we see it.
Okay, great. Good evening, I'm Jim Power from Kramer Levin. I'm joined by Dan Reingold, President and CEO of River's Edge, and the rest of the Hebrew Home at Riverdale project team. We were here in December and in January also to update you on the status of Hebrew Home's new Continuing Care Retirement Community, or CCRC project, and on our applications to City Planning to renew and modify the approvals that were obtained in 2018. The applications have now been filed, and we are anticipating that they will be officially referred out to Board 8 sometime in June. We do appreciate the committee's hearing the application this evening in advance of that referral. I will provide a brief overview of the project and the modifications we're proposing and the discussions we've been having with our neighbors, and respond to a few issues that were raised when we were here in January. This is an aerial view of the Hebrew Home campus from the Hudson River side.
Modification.
You've got a change in it, though.
Okay. So we are addressing the renewal application.
And the change.
And then the modification later. Thank you.
To be clear, neither of those have yet been referred out by City Planning. They will be proceeding in tandem to be referred and be formally in front of your board.
Thank you.
This is the current site plan of Hebrew Home. The North Campus, which is located in an R4 zoning district, has 9 buildings with skilled nursing, assisted living, and independent living components. The South Campus is in an R1 zoning district. It was acquired by Hebrew Home from the Passionate Fathers in 2011, and the entire site is in the Special Natural Area District. In 2018, we obtained approval of a special permit to construct a new independent living building, which is shown here in dark gray, which will be part of a CCRC with the existing buildings on the campus. The new building would consist of 3 wings, 1 on the North Campus and 2 on the South Campus, and they are oriented on an east-west manner to preserve the Hudson River view corridors. In the fall of 2022, we filed an application to renew the term of the special permit for an additional 3 years, and we have now filed our application to modify the project in certain respects. We believe the modifications are minor and represent improvements to the site plan, and we are also requesting new SNAD authorizations to reflect the updated site plan. Just to review, this is the currently proposed site plan, which looks from this view substantially the same as the 2018 version. To review the proposed changes regarding the north entry gate, we are now proposing on the right a layout that will allow 2 rows of vehicles to stack within the site and still have adequate space for circulation of large delivery vehicles. There are some changes to the internal circulation system to facilitate movement of delivery vehicles within the site. Going back to the overhead site plan, there would be a new pickleball court on the north campus next to the Riverwalk Independent Living Building. A tennis court that was formerly proposed on the south campus would now be replaced with 2 pickleball courts, and the deteriorated Victorian home building on the south campus would be removed. All of the other changes we are proposing relate to Wing 1 on the north campus. We are requesting some additional excavation under the parking garage for Wing 1 to accommodate stackers and an increase in the parking capacity. Then various minor changes to the exterior of Wing 1, including bay windows, balconies, a rooftop terrace shown in the foreground here, and a small event space for residents and additional rooftop equipment. All of those changes are within the previously approved maximum building height of approximately 139 feet. Finally, there would be elevator overrides that exceed the previously approved maximum building height by approximately 11 feet. These overrides are required for maintenance purposes and to provide code compliant access to the roof. So, and here we have some other views and a view of the green roof that would be installed. In addition to the prior briefings with the Land Use Committee, we have been in communication with the surrounding neighbors about these changes. In April, Hebrew Home entered into a modification of the memorandum of understanding that had been entered into with surrounding community groups in 2018. The amendment reflects these changes to the project and includes some additional commitments made by Hebrew Home. Shortly after the amendment to the MOU was executed, Hebrew Home removed the chain link fence around the South Campus at the request of its neighbors. And last week, Hebrew Home held the first meeting of the Construction Advisory Committee, which included representatives from the community and Community Board 8. Just to respond to a few comments and questions that were raised at the January meeting, we were asked about lights and noise from the pickleball court on the South Campus. Hebrew Home has made the following commitments in the amended MOU. There will be no lighting of the courts. Hours of play will be limited to between 8 a.m. and dusk. And after commencement of operations of the court, as necessary, Hebrew Home will engage with an acoustical consultant and will install a sound barrier and require the use of quiet paddles. We were asked to address changes to the impervious areas from the 2018 approvals. The current proposal represents a small increase in the impervious area compared to 2018, approximately 7,000 square feet more. This is mostly attributable to the changes in the driveway and the circulation that I mentioned earlier. We were asked in January about the stormwater management plan. The project is now subject to the city's enhanced stormwater requirements, which became effective in 2022. The project will have the capacity to manage at least 45,000 cubic feet of runoff, exceeding the volume required by the new rules. We were asked to initiate discussions concerning public access and the Hudson River Greenway. Hebrew Home representatives participated in a meeting on that topic in March, along with representatives of the community and Board 8. Just to address a couple of final points regarding the project schedule, we're hoping to obtain approvals and commence construction by the end of 2024. Demolition of the Gold Find Pavilion, which is in the current location of the Wing 1 building would start, the demolition would start sooner in the next month or so. And then finally, Hebrew Home had entered into a restrictive declaration in 2018, which placed certain restrictions on the South Campus. We are requesting that Board 8 formally consent to a modification to that restrictive declaration to clarify that these minor changes we are proposing are acceptable. And we ask that Board 8 acknowledge its agreement to those changes in its resolution on the application. That declaration requires the consent of, among other parties, Community Board 8. And that.
Will you send us a copy of that declaration promptly, please?
Yes, I will. It was sent to the board office, and I can resend it again.
If you can redline it to indicate where you propose a change.
Yes, absolutely. I could run through it right now if you wish.
No, just give us a red line.
Sure, absolutely, will do. And we're happy to answer any questions. Members of the project team are available.
You mentioned the deteriorated Victorian home. Right? Is that in this package? I mean, the only thing close to that is the chapel toward the south end of, I guess, the Passionate Retreat. But I don't think that's the Victorian home.
I will find that on the existing site plan for you. Let's see, this is the 2018 version of the plan, and this is the Victorian home over here, which would be demolished.
Do you have any pictures of it so we can see the deterioration?
No, we do not. I think Valerie or Dan, could you speak more to the condition of the Victorian home and why it needs to be demolished?
How is it currently used?
The building's been the building has been empty since 2010.
The building is currently not in use, and due to the lack of use, daily use, which would be, heating, cooling, running water and things. The building is, when we looked at using it for another purpose, there are a lot of upgrades and requirements that would be difficult to achieve with current codes and things like that.
What would it be replaced with, if anything?
There was
be demolished, not replaced?
Correct. I was referring to studies that the client did for possible uses, none of which seem to fit with the project at hand.
Okay. Anything else? Any board member have any initial questions for the applicant? Oh.
Just
identify yourself.
Yeah, I'm Bob Rice. I've been living off 261st Street since 1991. I was on a community board about 20-something years ago. I also was instrumental in getting the sidewalk there. And I have three things I'd like you to consider before you approve this renewal. One, as for the meeting that Jim mentioned last week, we were told that busing for the worker housing, for the workers, is going to come from Yonkers and deliver them to the site. So there would be no individual cars ostensibly going to the site. However, when I asked the question of the contractor, he said the buses will be running every half hour. It's a lot. We will have all the construction vehicles. We will have all the traffic from the Hebrew Home and all of these buses running down there. I really implore all of you to go take a look at 261st Street and understand what will be going on there for at least 3 years or more. I mean, it's just, you know, we need some relief from some of this traffic. And I suggest that 254th Street be used for the busing, all right?
I live on 254th, go ahead.
I know-
You're winning
I know you
friends
are.
as you go along.
Okay, but you know, these
So
considerations,
let me react to that. The busing program was done in reaction to requests by our neighbors to avoid the individual cars coming up and down the street. So this was a concession that we made at great expense. It will require us to spend an inordinate amount of money on off-site parking to accommodate the request by our neighbors. The half an hour bus trips will not be all throughout the day. They will be done in the morning to bring the workers in and in the evening to bring them back to the parking facility. So the number of vehicles coming on 261st or wherever they're coming will be significantly less than the number of cars that would have been used otherwise.
You have a bus service that comes compliments of the MTA past you every half hour or more frequently.
From wherever they're giving them parking there,
Is
yeah.
that not enough for you?
I don't think they can stop at the home.
They will. They stop to let them off.
And
That's the
we'll be-
reason I
we'll
put
be
the damn bus
We'll
in
be
there.
we'll be using that as well for workers who choose to take the Metro North to Riverdale, and they'll use the rail link to come to the site. That's correct.
I would also add, we were actually required by restrictive declaration entered into in 2018 to establish an off-site arrangement with a parking operator in Yonkers to bring workers to the site in this exact way. So we're complying with the requirements that were imposed in 2018.
To that, this shuttle service, is it anticipated for the period of construction, the 2 or 3 years, or is it considered for in perpetuity?
No, just during construction.
Okay, thank you.
yeah, can we get that
I
in
also wanted
writing,
to
David?
point out that
The
there will
buses will only be used, you know, set at time, since work is gonna start at 7 o'clock, means the buses will be coming there at 6:30, right? At the same time, you'll be getting construction deliveries. I ask you to please, you know, take a look at this and see how it's going to affect, you know, the traffic on our street. There, people come and use that street, I think was originally created by the state as access to Metro North station. So you have a lot of Metro North traffic coming at that time in the morning. It's a lot of traffic, all right, and a lot of disturbance to the people on the street, right? It's our intention, you know, aside from this, to ask the DOT if we could remove the speed bumps, because once you hear a truck, the size that will be coming there, going over the speed, you know, over the speed bumps, you know, if you're not up at 6:30 in the morning, you certainly will be. I mean, these are some of the issues, so I'm just asking the community board, before they renew this application, if they could come take a look at the street and see what we're going through there.
Daniel?
Yes.
Mangold, do you think you could get together briefly with the people, including Bob, from 161 to see where accommodations can be worked out, if at all?
Well, that's the purpose of the Construction Advisory Committee. We've already had one meeting, and we had began these conversations, and we've agreed to continue the conversations.
Okay. All right. Sharita?
Yes, sir. Thank you. I want to thank the River's Edge, Hebrew Home, whatever name they want to be using these days, for bringing this project back for further review. I want to thank them also for responding to the comments that we made during the editing and amending of the memorandum of understanding and thank them for removing the chain link fence, which was a request and has been recognized, and for beginning the advisory committee meetings. I would agree with Mr. Reich that because the 4 groups that signed the memorandum of understanding did not include the residents of West 261st Street, that their comments related to the noise and potential impacts of additional traffic on their street should be, as was discussed, part of the review by the community board and through the construction committee, and would just also underscore the need to repave that street, because it is, like many of the streets in Riverdale, a sort of passive traffic calming strategy because of the potholes. But in this instance, it would improve life greatly if the street could be improved.
The Hebrew Home would love to see those streets get repaved. It is unbelievably it is uncomfortable for our residents who have to go in and out by ambulance, to have to go on speed bumps and potholes. So we would love to see that get repaved.
The council member is I believe, listening. Help with DOT.
Are you, why the pause? Are you finished, Sharita?
She is.
I am finished. They have been very responsive to everything that we've seen. And I would like to add one thing. The Victorian home on the property, there were requests in, I guess, prior to the initiation of this planning in 2013 to the Landmarks Commission. The commission declined to consider this building as a landmark.
Ms. Schulman, you're next. Is that, am I pronouncing it correctly? I have trouble seeing the print.
And Shamoon.
It's Shamoon, just the way it's spelled. There's no L in it. Thanks, Mr. Merdler. I concur with Robert Reich about 261st Street. It is a hazard without buses going down it, but I also believe that we need to have the construction crews not coming in, because that will be horrible too. The point that he made that the construction, the deliveries are gonna really early in the morning is something I've been thinking about as well. I live right across from the Victorian house that we're discussing and the pickleball courts that are going up. So I want to reiterate the need to control the sound and traffic coming in. And I don't have any good ideas. The one idea that I do have, and nobody's going to like this, but the traffic could come through the Mount St. Vincent as well. They have an right onto Palisade Avenue, right near, right at 261st Avenue. I don't know if anyone's ever considered that or asked for that, for some of it to go there. I also want to ask that if the Victorian house comes down, which to me will be very sad because it's quite lovely to look at, and the pickleball courts go up, that something aesthetic like trees get put in to screen that whole area. Because, we're going to be looking at a noisy, ugly, not my daughter would agree with me, I think a noisy pickleball court that nobody in the community is allowed to play on. And we're going to have a pretty house taken down, and I have not gotten any instinct or any information about what's going to take its place.
Can I just interrupt that others please mute themselves? It's causing a background noise. Thank you.
All right, Mary Ellen Gibbs.
Hi, thank you, Charles. One of my questions was already answered. I always thought that Victorian home, being it was so old, that it would have been landmarked already. I was kind of thinking, can that be saved? Because it's such a beautiful old home, you know, it can't be used for anything like offices or anything restored, because it is really beautiful. Thank you.
That is not my judgment to make. I apologize. Something Z, is that?
Jessica Z.
Jessica Z. Jessica Z.
Hi, so sorry. I was having a hard time. My name's Jessica Lewin-Smoot. I live at 9 Sigma. Just a couple of issues I wanted to raise. I'm not sure if appropriate for this meeting, but I'm thinking about the traffic stop on Sigma Place and Palisade, the intersection. I'm assuming that a lot of trucks and employees will be going in and out of that entryway now where the security guard is. I just wanted to say I'm pretty concerned because we do have some children with special needs and disabilities on Sigma Place, as well as a special needs home that I'm sure everyone is aware of, that really require people to follow the laws when they're driving. The employees of the Hebrew home are very frequently being seen, they blow through the stop signs. They just completely ignore them on Sigma Place. There have been multiple almost crashes. I personally walk my dogs there, have almost been hit by the cars multiple times. There's also double parking all day long in front of the entrance of Sigma Place. People park their cars, Ubers, their friends, their spouses, just park them on the street, blocking both ways of the traffic. This is every day when work starts and work ends. Every shift that starts, every shift that ends, the streets are blocked off. I have spoken to the security guards. I've gone inside. Nobody has done anything. I have also asked for safety reasons, because I'm sure someone is going to get hit by one of these cars one day. Could the Hebrew home put along Palisade some cameras for security purposes, some video cameras? Nothing. The only time I've gotten a response from the Hebrew home is when an employee was parked in front of my house up on Sigma Place during their breaks, smoking marijuana. That's the only time I got a response, and they were told to stop. So there's a lot of problems there, and my concern is that it's just going to get increasingly worse. So can you address that, please?
Let me ask you a question, if I may. Are you
Sure.
saying that this is an ongoing problem even before the construction started?
Yes, since we've lived here for 9 years, this has been a problem. It's
Thank you.
other
Hold
people
on just a
on,
moment.
yes.
Mr. Reingold,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Powers, what are you going to do about it?
Well, we have no control over Uber drivers. I'm find it very frustrating when I come in and out to see Ubers parked in front of our gate. And I always tell the security guards to tell them they can't stay there. I don't know whether people that are running the stop sign are always Hebrew home employees. I've seen lots of people driving pretty poorly on Palisade Avenue that are not employees. I don't know who they are. So I'm really not prepared to accept that only Hebrew home employees are violating the stop sign there. And frankly, with the I don't know, 4 or 5 speed bumps that were installed on Palisade Avenue, I can tell you that it's impossible to go more than 15 miles an hour. So look, it's unfortunate, and I don't want to see our employees disturbing our neighbors. And I'm just, I'm not sure what we can do about it. We do speak to our staff regularly about being considerate to the neighbors. We continue to try to do that as best we can. The good news is that the nursing home part of our operation, which is the most staff intensive, has been and will continue to be reduced so that the number of staff people coming in and out of the campus will be correspondingly reduced.
Well, when I say
Jessica.
that,
Go
sorry,
ahead.
just to
You go
clarify,
ahead.
just to clarify, when you say you don't know who the people are, that they're not all staff, I see you have a stop sign when you exit the Hebrew home. There's a stop sign where they're all supposed to stop in front of where the security guards are when they're exiting. They don't stop. They blow through the stop sign. I see this and it happens in droves when shifts end. So
Are
when
you
the shifts are
talking about the exit by Sigma Place or the exit on the north side of the campus?
exit on the north side, and it's a known problem in the community, but now I'm wondering what's going to happen on the south side where the security guard is, that entry exit way. Is that now going to be? Are we now going to have this from both ends? I mean, there is a recklessness that is absolutely not being dealt with by the security guards, because I personally talked to the security guards several times. They said to me that I should put cameras up, that Sigma Place should pay for cameras to go up along Palisade.
So a couple of things. First of all, the proposed.
Hold it, Dan. Let me make a suggestion. Farah, I'd like the board office to communicate with the 5-0 to advise them that the board would appreciate that they make this a place for the cars, police cars in their route. The post, and that they be in touch with Jessica to see roughly if she can peg the hours that they tend to be there so that we can police that. This is a police problem.
So let me also just point out.
Jessica could reach out to the office as well, so they can get her information.
Let me also point out, Jessica, that the proposed revisions to the north gate, I think will significantly ameliorate the problem, because the whole point of that, which is being done at the request of the community, is to set the whole guard booth back about 50 feet from Palisade Avenue, which will give us a lot more leeway to control vehicular traffic coming in and out. So I think that will really solve a lot of the problem. And the additional one is that we will commit to continuing to communicate with our staff. The other thing we do is we do have a full stop at the security gate. We did this when people are leaving the campus, they must come to a full stop at the security gate. And that was done actually to prevent inadvertent elopement of residents getting into a vehicle and driving out where somebody was trying to be courteous and having a resident who perhaps has dementia from leaving the campus. So our guards now stop each vehicle to make sure that nobody's in the car. We can talk to them about moving that up a little closer to Palisade so there's a full stop there. As far as traffic on the south entrance, that's not likely to be any worse than it was when the retreat house was in operation. Probably a lot less, because the retreat house, when it was busy, had 150 cars going in and out. So we're going to be restricting the entrance on the Sigma Place side only to residents of River's Edge. It will not be an entrance or exit for the nursing home or any other part of the campus.
Thank you. Jessica, you heard my suggestion. Will you please, we will be in touch with the 5-0 to ask them to enforce this. And if that persists, please communicate with the community board and we'll figure out some other way of doing it. This is a police problem.
And again, I'm happy to speak to, and I will speak to our security director about reminding staff about their behavior when driving on the Palisade Avenue. It's unacceptable. I don't want to have it. I don't want to see it. And anything I can do to ameliorate that, I will do. And that involves speaking to our security department and really enforcing people's behavior as they leave the campus. it's a very reasonable request, and, you know, there's no reason for our staff to be driving like that.
Thank you, Dan. All right.
Let me just.
Do you have anything else,
Chuck,
Jessica?
I want to ask a procedural question. Maybe it's to Jim or maybe it's to you. You know, we're waiting for this matter to be referred out. Obviously, we want to keep the process moving, and I may be using the wrong phrase, but is it possible for the community board to approve of these changes contingent upon it being referred out? Because you know, we've been before you now 3 times. Jim, I don't know, maybe you can respond. I don't know whether that's procedurally permissible.
Can I finish with the people who'd like to address the specific merit? That's an issue that has been raised and it will be. All right? Sir.
Ian Kahn.
Hello. Yes, first I would like to thank the volunteers of the community board. This work that you do, I work in government myself, and I know that the work that you do is largely unglamorous. So first thing I'd like to do is thank the chair and also all of the members of the community for your work and for what you do for our entire community. This is the first thing I would like to say.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Next thing I would like to do is respectfully to Dan, and thank you for your kind words about doing anything you can do to solve the issue. I will say this. As a member, I live also on Sigma Place. My wife, myself, and our 2 young boys live on Sigma Place. The issue is, even with the speed bumps, it is not 15 miles an hour that people can do. And it's often not when people are driving away from work, because oftentimes it feels on the street when people are running late to work. And it feels as if they're trying to make their start time. There's certainly an issue that we live with, an issue that is so fearful that I am always very mindful about my 15-year-old and my 11-year-old walking on Palisade. It is not an option, and it is not an option specifically because of what Jessica Zamoud spoke about. Whether that's my problem, the community's problem, the Hebrew Homes problem, I don't know, but I do know it is a problem. And 15 miles an hour, sir, is not necessarily appropriate. As someone who exits on Sigma Place at least twice daily, the concern, and you spoke to this about 50 feet, being 50 feet moving the security guard, because I do know on 261st Street, it is often very difficult when we want to exit that way, because there's a long line of cars that are attempting to get into the Hebrew Home, and that's just part of life. But are we going to have that same experience, or is that, and then I'll have a further question beyond, will that 50 feet be on the south side and provide some relief for the members of the community who do live on Sigma Place, so that we can expect to get out of our driveway in an understandable and relatively easy way?
So let me respond to that, to the first thing. The setback is on the north entrance, and it is being done specifically because the community had objected to the queuing of cars, particularly during shift change. So that's exactly why we're doing this. And that will ameliorate the queuing of cars. The setback will do that, as well as the fact that there will be fewer cars coming in and out of the campus because of the reduction in staff and nursing. We are not, the South Campus, there will not be a setback, but you know, I don't know where we have a security booth, but
would you consider, I'm sorry to interrupt you, sir, would you consider a setback of some kind so that we do not?
I think what will happen is what's going to happen there is the south entrance is going to be limited to residents of River's Edge, and they're not going to be using that many cars. Our experience with our independent living building on the campus is that the residents are not going to have that many cars. Any service deliveries will be on the north gate, not the south gate. So I don't think you're likely to see a big influx of vehicles on the south gate. That's just, that the intent.
I mean, Dan, if you don't mind my saying, and I appreciate your kindness and how you express, but not expecting not to be an issue after 3 years of construction, when we are done in the company of your construction, that's the kind of thing that you can say, well, I didn't foresee it, but yeah, there is a bit of an issue.
But,
They're in a, I'm sorry,
Let me
Alan.
interrupt both.
Mr. Conniff, I
Let
can
me
jump in.
interrupt both. If this situation recurs, I can assure you this board will intervene.
Thank you, sir.
So you know where we are. Dan knows that we know how to do it. Dan has been thoroughly cooperative in every way, as has the home, and I'm sure that if it recurs, they will again be cooperative. They volunteered the 50 feet.
Thank you, sir. Thank you,
All right.
you, Dan. Thank you for your honest response. And again, I will finish by
Sir,
saying,
would you do this for me? I asked the prior young lady, Jessica, to be in touch with the board and with the 5-0. We're going to be in touch with the 5-0. Please be in touch with us to tell us if this is working or if there's a problem, please.
thank you. Mr. Chair, if I may just make one last question, because I do have the attention of the community board and Mr. Dan Sir. During the construction period, should we anticipate any challenges getting in and out of our block on Sigma Place as construction is happening? Or will all entrances and exits be at 261st Street?
The intention is to use the north gate for the construction. So, you know, that shouldn't be a problem. There was another point I wanted to make to you, Ian, about Sigma. Oh yeah, just to say this, you know, your Sigma Place is represented, excuse me, on the Construction Advisory Committee, which will be meeting regularly. So, you know, if there's concerns and issues or things come up, that's exactly why we did that, so that we'll meet regularly. We'll have representatives of the contractor, representatives of the community board, and the home. And so if there are problems that are occurring that are unforeseen, we'll bring them up there and we'll address them. That's the whole idea behind that. So that's intended to be an ongoing communication with our neighbors to be sure that we really minimize the disruption to you.
Thank you very much, sir. I do appreciate it. I'm sorry, I just had one last thought, Mr. Chair. I promise not to take any more of your time. Cars are coming in now. They're starting to come in more regularly. I wouldn't say that it's an overflow of cars or terribly disruptive. And I think you've answered my question that during construction, we should expect that it won't be much more than what we're seeing presently. Yes, sir?
Yeah, the reason you saw cars is we were using the parking lot on the Retreat House property for staff. That's now been eliminated because that's going to be used for a staging area for demolition. So we're not using that. Maybe there are some cars there, but less than there were before.
Thank you so much again for your time, to the community board and to you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Ian Khan.
Yes, sir. That is me.
Oh, that was his book. I guess we're done with those. All right. The request from Mr. Reingold and the Hebrew Home is that in the event they are reported out, can we act on it? There's no way that we can approve it because we don't have legal authority. But what we can do is to mimic what we said with respect to the first applicant, which is if the committee is so inclined, we can say that we are favorably disposed to the application. Let me ask, are we all in, or is anyone opposed to, on the committee, to a favorably disposed resolution?
In favorably or favorably?
In favor.
Anybody opposed?
Okay, thank you.
No. Okay. So, Bob, here's some language that you can give to.
See that right, I guess.
All right, so we're all on board with that? So that the committee has adopted a resolution that is favorably disposed to the grant of the application, and the ball's in your court to deliver city planning. And then you have to come back to the board meeting. At that point, they will act on it one way or the other. All right?
Very good. Thank you very much for.
Thank you all.
Time.
I appreciate your time.
Okay.
Renewal or the modification?
Both.
Now, as I see it, we have two matters remaining. So let me jump to one and leave for a moment 4401 Manhattan College Parkway
All right.
to the
But
side.
I'm sorry, Mr. Miller, we're excused, Heber Home?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Nice to see you.
Thank you.
I forwarded, or Farrah was kind enough to forward to each of you two documents. One is this resolution, which has to be changed. They're minor changes, but they are significant. And the other is I forwarded to each of you the Community Service Society report dealing with this basic issue and making it clear. So let me go for the record and tell you exactly what we're doing here. There are two sets of confusing terms that even the people in the New York City Housing Administration, various agencies with whom I met this morning, have shared the view that they are confusing. If these can be adopted, I'll go through what they are. To run alongside, and that's the second addition to this, to run alongside the federal regulations as long as they exist, it will provide them with a way. They too, to my knowledge, would like to see clarity because they're getting the rap for not having it. The resolution provides, has everybody got a copy?
Yeah.
All right.
Need
Are there any questions?
There's one
on
more
it?
here.
The changes are in the first line, the word average, and I thank David for catching this, is area median income, not average median.
It's corrected on what we have.
This person is correct.
So that,
Yeah, we have to correct it
Everything's
very
correct.
okay, then we've got that. There's one thing I wanted to call to your specific attention. It's on page 2. It's the second line. Such definition shall be applied to any applicable law, ordinance, regulation, or the interpretation or application thereof in and by the city of New York. So it is limited to the city of New York. Number one there. To keep it limited to the city.
Both say this.
All right? I will tell you that I had some conversations with at least one member of the city council about this, who also pointed out that this is something that they would like to see, but they have been spooked in the past by government agencies saying it's the federal regulation. So let me make clear what all this is. New Rochelle and Scarsdale, Roslyn, and Great Neck are part of our New York City area median income. Therefore, they inflate the income. Therefore, the numbers are not accurate. And when someone tells you he's doing this at a real bargain, it's only going to be 60% of the median income. That's 60% of a much elevated income. So it allows for higher rents and the like. They are aware of that. To my knowledge, the commissioner of HPD is very well aware of it and isn't a great fan of it. So what I'm saying to you is, this is something, as long as it runs alongside the federal regulation as it now exists, is fine. And what I would like to amend is to say, at the end, if I may, Farrah, this definition and its application, right at the bottom, this definition and its application shall be construed in conjunction with any existing federal regulations.
That's number 3.
Yeah.
Any existing,
Federal regulations. Let me explain to you what the federal regs are. The federal regs say this is the area income you must have in order to qualify to get aid from the federal government. How to aid. And so they don't want to take any chances of anyone having any arguments that they shouldn't give aid. So we're not going to undercut it. We're going to have a different application of it in the city of New York. They are now doing it informally anyway. But now we're going to have it as a matter of course. Got it? So, is there a second, please? Any discussion? Any objections? All those in favor? Unanimous. Thank you very much. That leaves for the end
Approve minutes.
4401 Manhattan College Parkway. Is the applicant present?
yes, Stefano is here.
Hi, this is Stefano.
Stefano, thank you, sorry, I don't want to say it wrong.
I have one question to start you off with, if I may, before you even show that. There have been a number of alterations in the property and the premises over the past few years. One, were they done by this owner or by a previous owner?
So I think the owner is present, so he can answer also because you requested for him to be present, so he is here. So I think he had, when he sold the house, when he bought the house, the previous owner had to do some things to the house, which he did before he gave it to Solomon. But Solomon can explain it.
Hi,
this is
the owner here. Is that
yes,
correct?
yes, sir.
Are you prepared to make an affidavit or an affirmation on file with the application to that effect?
Yes, sir.
All right, that will become a condition because we need to know what that is and who did it. All right, go forward with your application, please.
So let me share the screen.
He's saying he didn't.
Let's see if I can share it.
Farrah, I think you have to make him a co-host.
I thought I did. Who do you want to make
She
a?
did. Yeah, he is.
That was a co-host.
Let me try now.
While you're doing all of that, have you notified the neighbors within 200 feet of each of your boundaries of this application tonight?
Yes, I have. I've given the plans and the information that Stefano had directed me to all the surrounding properties.
And you notified them of tonight's meeting on it, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, so I think you can see the screen. I'll jump right to the main element. So with this application, we're trying to resolve the violations with Landmark. And the violations that we received from Landmark are mainly there are 5. So it's the gate, the main gate and ironwork, which is shown here, is the some windows and doors which have been replaced. There is a balcony and awning, and then I'll go through all of them in the drawing. The gutters and some lights, cameras that were placed on the facade. So here in this image, in 3D image, you can see the elements that have been changed since the designation report and whatever Landmark has on record. So mainly it's number one, the gate, the historical gate. The second, the ironwork, so fencing on existing stone, parapets, and mainly all the ironwork in the front of the facade. So this is the first violation. The second violation is the steel frame windows. Now Landmark also came, so the existing windows are aluminum, but they're very similar to the previous steel windows. So they still have the division of the glass and they're practically similar to what was there before. So Landmark was not very concerned about these, but mainly it's on the two facades, the main facade and the side facade, the one overlooking the driveway. The other violation is regarding there was an existing fabric awning on the entrance that was just removed. It was replaced by what you see here in the third image, which is a metal and glass. And also another part of this violation was the balcony, which was replaced with what you see here, which was the glass and a solid balcony. The last violation was regarding the gutters that were replaced. They're black aluminum gutters. Before they were original gutters were in copper. And then the smaller elements are lights and cameras that are on the facades. So this is mainly what we're trying. When I was called to do the permits and the design for the back, which he wants to build a pool. And then when this was given to Landmarks came back with us with the noting that there were these violations. So the main objective of this is to build the pool in the back and resolve these violations. Now, the back, if I can, I'll just jump to a simple render to make you understand what the idea is. So practically, the idea is to build a terrace in the rear with a staircase that leads an exterior stair that leads to the driveway, and a terrace that is used from the first floor. Right now, there is he only has a garden at the level of the driveway. So the idea is to, here you can see all the levels. So the top is the existing, the bottom is the new, is the proposed. This is the proposed, this is the existing. So right now he has a stairway leading down and going to the driveway. He has already a difference in levels, so he's practically just he just wants to create the pool at the level of the rear back entrance. So slightly above what is the existing right now on the side yard. And in plan, you can see, in plan here, you can see, so this here is the house, and this is the terrace and the pool in the rear. And practically from this terrace, then you go down the stairs and you reach the driveway. That's mainly the project. So right now, with this meeting, we're addressing your request of having Solomon participate in the meeting, and the other request was that I think we sent you an email with the letter that we sent to the association, to the Fieldstone Association, and also the fact that we contacted all the neighbors within 200 feet of the property.
200 feet.
Yeah.
200. If they did, I would have sent it.
So that's about it. If you have any questions, we'll gladly answer.
What is the status of this at Landmark?
So Landmark reviewed it, and after this community board meeting, we will have to have a presentation at Landmark, a public hearing. Yeah.
Have you had any communication with staff of Landmarks?
Oh, yes, yes. We met on site. They had a visit on site. We talked many times before. We exchanged emails. We had a lot of communication with a Landmark representative. Yeah.
Have they given you any comments yet?
Well, the main comment was unfortunately, the main comment was unfortunate was the fence, because the fence was something architecturally, it was a nice architectural element of the house, but apart from that, the other things, as I said before, the door, the windows were not seen as very problematic, because they really they reproduced what was there before, only in new materials, and that's it. Then the other thing was just the balcony, the one that I shown, but apart from that, there was not any other comment.
Fence really is unfortunate.
What if the violations aren't approved? How do you resolve the violation with the gate if that one isn't okayed, that the new one's okay?
So I don't know what a Landmark could ask. Landmark could maybe ask to because we had the same issues in other buildings. In other buildings, they said to try to either recreate or find something similar. So like a vintage or something similar, a similar gate. But that's the only thing, they usually ask. It's not. I
Have you given any thought to trying to do that here?
I think it's really, to find something like this, I think it's impossible.
It's really, it really is a dramatic change from the exterior.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think that was the main element that I think.
Has your client given any thought to that kind of a change here?
No, I don't think so. I mean, he can speak, but I don't think I think we're just really waiting for Landmark after this meeting, to see what they.
I'm waiting to discuss this with Landmark and see how what the recommendations are and what it can work out with them.
Is the client with you now?
I'm here, sir.
Have you given any thought to that significant change?
Yes, like I said, I'm waiting to discuss that with Landmark and take their recommendation on that.
Are you prepared to represent that to the board if Landmarks recommends it, you will go forward? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
So would you put that as the second item in writing to us?
Sure.
Yes, we can write an email and send yeah.
Right.
If an email is fine, we can send
But
that.
you're going to give me that information that was done. These changes were made by the prior owner.
And we already sent that to Landmark as well. But yes, you can send that
I
to me as well.
understand, but I want to have it in writing for this board rather than just a conversation.
No, I mean, that was sent in writing to Landmark, but we can send that to you as well. Yes, sir.
Anything else?
No.
Anyone? Bob?
I'm just curious, because I'm seeing that, your video comes up as PP Property LLC. Are you going to reside in this house? You are both the owner and the resident of this house?
Yes,
So this is not an investment property, this is your house?
correct. Just what's signed up and it was signed to my computer. My apologies for the name.
Okay, all right, that's fine. I just wanted to clarify that. Also, did you get any feedback, did you get any response from any of the neighbors or from FPOA?
Negative.
No, we didn't receive anything. Yeah.
And
And you-
I'm in daily communications with two of the neighbors as well, the synagogue and the property behind.
How did you determine which neighbors to send it to?
We took a radius of 200 and I literally went to each of the houses and knocked on the doors and
Okay.
gave them the plans.
Do you live in the house now? Is the house occupied by you?
No. No one's in
Who
there.
occupies? Who occupies the house?
Nobody.
Is the house on the market?
Now, no.
Is it going to be?
Negative. I don't intend to sell it. I intend to move in.
Please up for.
When I asked the question, I was under the impression that he was living in the house. That's why I asked.
Yeah, I had the same question. Thank you.
No, that's coming up next. That's not for this. Tonight, though. Yes, yes, that's the beginning of it.
So, let me see if I understand where we're going. You have made an application to the Landmarks Preservation Commission to legalize the several violations. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
Oh, before I forget, when was the last time this house was on the market?
A little under 2 years ago.
I'm sorry?
2 years ago.
And has it been occupied since then?
No, it hasn't been occupied in, from my understanding, for a very long time. The person that I bought the house from.
Between the last time it was on the market and today, has it been occupied?
No, I bought the house in the end of 22.
And who's occupied it?
Nobody.
Been empty.
And nobody's occupied it.
2 years.
More, I mean, it was listed in July of 21. Would have been empty that whole time.
All right. Anybody on the board before I start? I would like to see two things: the affidavit from you as the property owner, representing that you did not make or create any of the conditions that are the subject of the violation. That affidavit would be under oath, and it would constitute a formal filing with the City of New York, since we are a city agency. Two, I would like to see a writing that says that you will replace the front gate with a new gate in as close a form as is readily available or can be constructed to that which previously existed. You understand that?
Yes. Like I said, I will follow the recommendations of Landmark.
Well, it is our recommendation as it is today, so I just want you to know.
Yeah, no, understood.
All right. Subject to those two conditions, all those in favor of granting a conditional approval, please raise your hand.
Everybody's conditional.
All right, we have a conditional approval. Please try and get those documents to us within a week from today so that we can get it to the board for it to act on it, because it's meaningless until the board does act, all right?
Is an email fine, or do we need to actually send the document?
Sorry?
Is an email sufficient, or do we actually have to send a paper?
You have to actually send those 2 pieces of paper.
Okay.
Signed affidavit.
Signed affidavit on the he didn't do it. And understand, it is a signed affidavit, and it is a filing with the city of New York.
Understood.
The matter of Trump. Okay? I thank you. Anything else?
Not from us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
We've got a couple of items.
All right, what else have I got?
We gotta do
The
roll
big
call
item
on
that a
the
lot of us are here to
27th.
talk about.
Yeah.
What else?
Approval of minutes and roll call, and then we could do the
Okay, can I have?
Oh, and then we need, Independence Avenue.
That's the new business.
Roll call. Myrtle present, Marty Wolpoff excused, Sylvia Alexander on virtually, Bob Bender present, Carol Blake present, Lee Chung excused,
No, I'm
Nicholas
present.
Fazio.
I'm here.
Oh!
Welcome back.
How are you? All right.
I'm very tired.
Sounds good.
Oh, great. So she's
Nicholas Fazio. So Lee is on virtually. Please record her virtually. Hey, can you record her? Sarah,
I'm sorry.
record her virtually.
If you have ADA.
David Gellman, present. Omar Murray, absent. Dan Rowan, present. Jessica Sosa, present. Laura Spalter, present. We are in good shape, and the Vice Chair, Sergio Villaverde, was present. Okay, what's next?
I saw it.
Approval of minutes.
Do I have any questions or concerns respecting the minutes of the meeting of
May 6th.
May 6th? Hearing none, all those in favor of adoption?
Okay.
Contrary minded, done. Next,
New business.
Now.
new business at your peril.
You have the
You did?
petition
I wasn't
at
here
the
for that.
bottom there. I'm sorry?
Just as a quick, should we re-vote on our
It's,
positive feelings toward the Island Avenue development now that Jessica is present? Now that we have the quorum? We did it without a quorum?
We have a quorum.
We have a quorum at the
We had a
time.
quorum when she was here.
She wasn't here.
Not for the 47.
I vote.
no, not for Islam.
Remember, we voted without
What
quorum.
other one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, all those in favor of that resolution?
I don't know what it was.
It was good.
I was putting like tiny little in the back of the house.
Okay, I feel like I recognize this house.
Driveway, there's that.
Guys.
Yes, the kitchen, right? I remember that one. Yeah. That's old.
Yes.
Okay, no, yeah.
Please. Stag, David.
Okay,
I'm just,
okay.
just a quick report. Our final meeting with STAG about 3745 Riverdale Avenue. This is Marty's notes. Just note that our last and final meeting, we were provided a building tour conducted by Jay Martino, project manager. We visited the 15th floor, 2-bedroom, 1-bedroom apartments. We were on the roof deck and third floor decks, as well as community room and gym. In addition to each apartment having a washer dryer, we visited the building's laundry room. The period for applications for the affordable housing apartments may have ended, and the telephone number on the face of the building will direct prospective tenants, renters. In ending the series of meetings that we have had with STAG, I note the collaborative spirit the committee developed with STAG. Over the many months of meeting, we were able to provide input and advise STAG about the general concerns of the community, as well as have some influence concerning amenities and hours of usage for the outside areas. All this was done without raising a trowel or swinging a hammer. We hope that such relationship can be replicated for any new development by STAG or other developer in the community district. The reason why we wanted to get this stated is that STAG had been a problem developer. They were very, very cooperative, and that cooperation came from the purpose and success of Chuck's vision in dealing with an oft-recalcitrant developer who is often at odds with our community. Chuck, you deserve a lot of credit for this. It was a long time coming. They were a pain in the ass historically. They did very well on this, and the neighbors were very happy with the progress, and the results are pretty much done.
I'll tell you, this is a two-way street. I spoke to Adolfo Carrion this morning, who was STAG's representative. It was not a good time as between Brother Carrion and myself and other members of the board as we were doing those other projects. Carrion said today what everybody who has worked with him on this, he was cooperative, he was forthcoming, and the idea of working with the developer clearly is an advantage to both the developer and to the community, and it's something we ought to continue doing in the future. And I thank David Gelman and Marty Wolpoff who did the work. Now, the petition. We have a petition that I would like to read to you.
Any of the spaces, actually, when they say community spaces, do they mean?
Is there anyone online?
Are they here?
There's multiple people here.
Mo-
Yes.
A lot of
Who is the
people who are on
spokesman for the
right
group?
now are people who signed that petition, Mr. Merdler.
Ms. Habib, could you tell us exactly what's going on?
Sure. So about 75 South Riverdale residents have signed a petition formally requesting that Community Board 8 be able to work with Department of Buildings and Department of Environmental Protection to bring some resolution to the jackhammering noise that we have all experienced for the past year or so on almost a daily basis during the work week. To figure out how to ameliorate this issue. We are also very concerned about the fact that there is a third property about halfway down the block, again in our area, that if it's developed in the same way that the past two properties have been, will again cause extreme emotional distress and other types of distress to these very same residents who have signed this petition. So we're very fortunate. We had Assemblyman Dinowitz come out the other week and he actually heard the jackhammering himself. He and Councilman Dinowitz both signed a letter to the Borough Commissioner of the Department of Buildings asking for some resolution to this issue and also asking about the permit that's potentially going to be given for the same developer to, we fear, conduct the same type of business on this property and continue to impact this community for another year or so. So what we would like to see is the noise ending. We'd like a timetable for the construction. We still don't have one. And every time we ask the developer what's going on, she's like, I don't know. It's costing me a lot of money too. And, you know, we just have no resolution. And we are very worried about the continuation of this noise now on a third property. And we would request that DOB not give this developer a permit to do the same type of construction that she's done on these past two properties. That's our complaint. I leave it to
Are
others to
these
chime in.
Are these properties,
I'm just the person who put
are these
the,
properties on the market now as developed or what?
no, not to my knowledge. She
They
has,
are going to be?
yes. She's built them as investment properties that she's going to then sell, as based on my conversations with her on the street. And they are 3 private homes.
As you know, we wrote to the property owner previously.
Yes.
And I will again speak with the commissioner, Borough Commissioner of Buildings, and if necessary, the citywide commissioner, to request a stop work order on the job.
Is there anybody from DEP or DEP on this meeting today, Mr. Murdler?
They don't listen to anybody. I'm not gonna waste your precious time. The only way they understand it is a lawsuit.
Well, we feel
The
a bit
only thing
stuck.
they'll understand.
So what
I would
do you think,
encourage
what do
you
you
to
think we
do
should
that.
do, Mr. Murdler? You're a lawyer?
I think you have to decide for yourselves as to whether you want to retain counsel and commence a proceeding against them and DEP. They just don't listen. That's the historic record of that agency. It's not an agency. I will not characterize what it is. But I will tell you, they just don't listen to anybody. They should have their entire budget reduced to 0 for all senior staff. That would teach them for a change.
We have representatives
Putting that
from the
issue
councilman's
aside,
office.
putting that issue aside, question is what we do with DOB. Farah, you and I will talk tomorrow. I will send a letter to both the borough and the citywide commissioner asking them to issue a stop work order unless they provide adequate evidence that they're going to behave. They haven't. So I will do that.
Mr. Murdler,
tomorrow.
could I ask to, I mean, I'm not the
do
anointed
what?
here, but would it be possible for one of us residents to join you in that call? Because
What,
we
with
know
the
how it
commissioner?
goes.
No.
You don't live in the
No,
community.
I
you
tell you
live in a
why.
different
I
part of
tell
the
you
county.
exactly why. I believe in candor and bluntness.
Me too.
And it's not appropriate. Yes. Okay.
You have some folks.
On
with
your
hands
gentle
raised.
ears, it would be most inappropriate. Right. So, we will show you the letter before it goes out. All right?
You have some
think
hands
that's
raised
about
here.
the
Maybe,
best I
maybe
can
some
do.
of their
Look,
input could be
The
helpful.
bottom line for you is to commence litigation against them. We cannot commence it in this context, but we can join in it as amicus. So if you opt to do that, I will put to my colleagues whether they are prepared to let me as counsel to the board to do that. You have got it initiated. Now, I see 3 hands. Mr. or Miss Kaplan, since you are hiding from the world.
Yes, thank you. I will unhide. So it sounds like you are advising that there is no other course of action except a lawsuit. Are there other avenues that you or
Oh,
we
there are
can
avenues.
explore?
There are avenues and they work. You can bring a proceeding against them for maintaining a public nuisance. You can bring a proceeding against them upon the grounds that they're disturbing your peace and quiet. So there are at least those 2 actions. Both of them are torts. They can, if they were intentional, submit a person to punitive damages of enormous consequence. But they require you to lay out the money or find some silly lawyer who's willing to do a pro bono job. I can't do it because I'm conflicted. I represent the board. So,
I think some of the
while the
challenges
board
here are
can
that
appear amicus, it cannot initiate this kind of an action.
I think some of the challenge here is that while they've been borderline, they have not overtly been breaking the rules that were established
got it.
by DEP and
You
DOB.
got it.
And so the rules themselves are flawed. They are causing great harm and cost to us, like everyone who has children, people who are trying to work and earn money from their homes. I am directly across the street. There are tangible ways that I can say this has affected me, and there are intangible ways that this affects my mental health throughout the day of having to listen to this continuously. They are not doing what they could do. If this were in Midtown Manhattan, they would be putting up noise barriers.
Let me interrupt you.
Yeah.
Many years ago, I was the commissioner of buildings. It took me almost 2 years to get authorization to hire the equipment to check sound. They didn't give me anybody to do it. They just let me buy it out of my budget. That's all they did. Why is there that kind of a constraint? Why is there that? I see it. Why is there that kind of a constraint? Because there are larger developers who also make noise, but they make noise on a grander scale. All right? Government works in mysterious ways, none of them very good. And all I'm saying to you is, we will do what we can. I will communicate with the citywide commissioner of buildings and with the current commissioner of buildings, Rodney Gibbons, who, by the way, in the past has been very cooperative. I'm surprised he hasn't jumped in on this one yet.
If anybody from the assemblyman or councilman's office is on, have you received a response to your letter to Commissioner Gibbons?
He called me. He said, we're gonna take a look at it. That was the last I heard. We will do that. But your self-help is really only gonna take that kind of form. Now, there is one other thing, and that is disturbing the peace is a violation of the city ordinance on noise and the like. So if you call the 5-0 periodically and say there is terrible noise emanating from those premises, I believe the police will do a lot more than just your personal protests would.
Every
Got
police
it?
request, has been resolved instantly.
You have to call 301, what is it, 311? Then you call them.
we've called
They
them
don't do
never
anything.
ending. We
There have
call
been thousands of
311
calls
every
to
day.
311 about this
All
project.
right, wait a minute, hold on. Joanna, you're the first, go.
No, I just want to say that I am directly across from this on the second level at 3210, and I believe this is on Arlington Avenue. This is
Yes.
occurring 3215. I'm on the second floor. So they've been working at this for over a year, and they're still in the jackhammering phase, and I don't know how much rock there can possibly be. I cannot work from my home. It's affected my work, like someone else has mentioned. It's not, things in the house are shaking. So how much of this is acceptable? It's a very enclosed area. We're not like in a big, we're not talking about near Broadway or Kingsbridge or some of these bigger areas. The streets are very narrow. So,
I know the neighborhood, believe me, I do. I've been past that property a half a dozen times in the past few months.
what are we
But let me
supposed
make
to
a point
do?
to you. We are by law, an advisory body only. We think we are bigger than we are, and so what we do is we make a colossal pain in the neck out of ourselves, and it does achieve results from time to time. What I would urge you to do is to use the law enforcement power rather than if you don't want to commence litigation, what I would do is call the police and do it every second or third day if necessary.
Some
I
of us have done
haven't
that every
attempted
day.
that, but
Can I-
I have called 311 and they've stopped periodically just for a short period of time. But I don't know what calling the police will do. I will attempt it, but I don't know how far I'll get.
When you call 311, they tell you that your local
I
precinct is.
will call the Commissioner of Buildings of the City of New
Oh, no,
York,
listening to me.
and I will talk to him. He is the former borough president of Staten Island, I believe. I will call him. Miss Mintz.
What I'm saying is that we've called 311 daily.
Yes.
And they tell us that they closed the case. I can't tell you, this has affected my health in the last year. I've developed vertigo. I'm on medication for it. It's just ridiculous already. It's to the point where it just needs to end. I don't know whoever allowed this to happen to begin with, to drill into rock that has been there since like the prehistoric times.
Yes.
And it's just
There is
311 does
one
nothing.
other
the
remedy,
50
I
does
do not
nothing.
recommend it to you, but I will tell you, you are entitled in your own names, without hiring a lawyer, to commence a proceeding in the small claims court or in the civil court of the City of New York. And sue the bastard. You can do that in your own name. Don't need a lawyer. Matter of fact, it's damn sight more effective.
Could I just interject? Hi, my name is Nicholas. My wife and I also live at 3210 Arlington. We're in the adjacent unit as well. We're on the 3rd floor. And I know a lot of people have been complaining about the noise, and the noise levels are extremely excessive. But the other issue is the vibration from the
Yeah.
activity.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm concerned, and I've called, and I feel like it hasn't been addressed, that it's undermining the structural integrity of our building.
Yes.
And I'm pretty sure that the adjacent neighboring single-family residences as well. I've called 311 probably 4 times. I don't think it's going on. And I would also like to point out that they do have a stop work order currently for unsafe site excavation.
Is that true?
Yes, it's actually.
Did they
posted on
stop
the
work
site.
when they got the order?
It was last Friday.
Yeah, they haven't been there this week at all.
Yeah.
It's a violation of building code 3304.4.
This. And I'm sorry, you said it
Have
was.
an outstanding stop, if you have an outstanding stop work order and you hear any further noise, you will call the community board office and we will tell the building department there is a violation in progress. That will get action.
Yes, it will. Okay. Good. Excellent.
Can I?
Provide the details of the stop work order when you make the call. It's
on
gonna have a name, a date, a number, etc.
No, I have.
All right?
What do you have to say?
Ladies and gentlemen, I have a sick wife at home. I'm not joking, and I will, with your permission, ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
A motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. I thank you, and I apologize, but she's gonna give me holy hell as it is. Thank you. Good night.
Please keep us posted. Farah, if you could just keep us posted, that would be great. Thank you.
Absolutely, and again, reach out to our office, especially with any stop work order
Yeah, if
violations.
he starts again while the order's pending, please let us know immediately. That gives us leverage to do something. At that point.
Unsafe excavation, unsafe
Police
excavation.
Department, and B, we can call DOB and says violation in progress. All right? That's the best thing I've heard so far tonight.
Right, I didn't know that.